Girls, y'all want some food? There you go. Get you some. I love chickens. Don't you just love chickens? Good morning, y'all. So today I'm in the greenhouse garden, our new greenhouse garden, and I'm trying to get the in-ground beds ready to be planted. We have a lot of rain coming in the next couple of days, so I'm gonna push through and try to get these beds ready to be planted. This is the first time we've had a greenhouse out on this piece of property, so the ground has never been used on this part to be gardened. So I'm gonna do some amendments. We did have the chickens in that area before we put the greenhouse up, so they did a little bit of fertilizing in there, but the beds really need some extra organic matter, and luckily I've got some composted barnyard from my father-in-law's barn, so I'm going to be topping off the rows with that and tilling that in today. You have to use composted barnyard manure. You can't use it when it's hot, when it's fresh, because it will burn up your plants. So luckily this manure's aged and I can use it right now. And I also have some rabbit manure that I'm going to put on. That's actually a cold manure, and you can use that right out of the cage, so it's not going to burn anything up. And we've got an abundance of rabbit manure, so I'm going to be adding that to these rows. We're also going to be doing some raised containers in the middle of the greenhouse. We're not going to fool with that today. We're not going to have time. But I'm going to get these in-ground beds ready to be planted. Let's get her done before this rain gets here. Now, if you don't have access to barnyard manure, you can buy it at the big box stores. You can buy it at your local co-op. But if you've got friends that have horses or cows, hit them up for some manure, because you'll be helping them out by being able to take some of that extra manure off their hands probably, and you'll be able to get you some manure for your garden. You do have to be careful of your sources, because if you get it from areas that have used a lot of herbicide, in the hay, then it can be passed through the animal and into the manure. And from what I understand, there were some gardeners that had some problems with that last year. Luckily, we haven't run into that yet, but if you garden long enough, you're gonna have some of those problems. So if you don't have some friends that have some manure you can have, you may need to get you some more friends. Just saying. And you do have to be aware that when you're using barnyard manure from anywhere that hasn't been composted, there are going to be some weed seeds in there from the hay that the animals have been eating. So you really kind of want to use that and put it on a compost pile and let it go through a heat, so it'll kill those seeds off. But we're going to cover this with that woven fabric that is going to help us keep the weeds out, so I'm not really worried about that. If you haven't seen the video where we put the woven fabric down in the garden, I'll do a link to that below, because that stuff is fabulous. It cuts our maintenance down, it keeps the weeds out, it helps conserve some of the water because it cuts down on evaporation. So if y'all have got a big enough garden that you have to struggle to keep the weeds out, you need to get you some of that woven fabric. Even if you have a small garden, this is only 20 by 20, but using that fabric, it's really going to help us cut down on some of the weed pressure. And the maintenance is going to be so much easier. Okay, there's the trailer of rabbit manure. I'm going to go ahead and dress these rows with that and get this stuff tilled in and see what that soil looks like. So I'm just rowing this up a little bit. This side of the greenhouse is a little bit higher than the other side, which is fine because it's going to be covered with plastic, so it won't be like it's getting a lot of rain on it. I am going to row up the other row a little bit more round just because it's a little bit lower and some of the runoff may be going down there. But this stuff's ready to plant, y'all. Except we got to get the woven fabric down. We got to get the weed barrier down. Look how good that looks. Very good. I got it done before the rain, so I'll be able to cover it up. I know it seems like we're getting the cart before the horse with getting this grounds ready before we get the plastic and everything on, but it makes it a lot easier to do the tilling when you're not constrained by the walls and the plastic. And we won't do any more tilling in here after this year. We'll amend the beds, and I may bring my miniature tiller in here sometimes to kind of top dress things off. But now that we've got the soil ready, we can put the plastic on when the rain moves out, and then we'll be ready to drop these plants in here, and we'll be ready to move the containers in here. So Patrick's doing another video on how the greenhouse is going to be assembled, so we'll drop that when we get it all together. Obviously we've got more work to do. We're not going to put the ends on this year because we're getting our greenhouse up late. We actually want the circulation of air to keep the greenhouse cool this summer. We're going to use the greenhouse to control the water that goes to our plants and also to control the sunlight. We'll get a shade cloth and put over the greenhouse, and that'll help keep some of our tomatoes and some of our plants from burning up in this hot Mississippi sun. So even though I am kind of disappointed we didn't get it up early in the season so we could extend our growing season earlier this year, probably by about a month, we're still going to get a lot of use out of it. This breeze feels lovely. Very, very nice. So I got all this done. It's not even 10 o'clock this morning, so I got a lot more time in my day to get on some chores. And if y'all like these videos, hit the like button and subscribe and the little bell so you'll be notified when we drop new videos. And my chickens say, they'll see you next time. See ya. What are you doing up there? You thinking about chicken run and trying to think about jumping over that fence? You're gonna get a running start and try to take flight? I don't advise it, baby. I don't advise it. I take very good care of you. You just keep your little tail in there, right? Well, come on down. Come on down, thank you.